Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Today I kind of wanted to talk about the need for reassurance and how I feel like so many relationships, so many friendships get this odd feeling of reassurance, and kind of, people get to get harmed in the need for reassurance because they need that reassurance and they don't get it, over time and time again, they don't get it. And I wanted to talk about the steps of possible steps to take that, possible steps of understanding why you need this reassurance and why it's okay. There's so many reasons for it, like the idea that you grew up in an environment that it was inconsistent. Love was conditional rather than unconditional. You needed to constantly prove your love and feel worthy. And then whenever you received love, it was inconsistent. It was, you were felt like it wasn't guaranteed and it wasn't going to be proper for you. It wasn't always dealt with the best responses and the best ways of taking that, of giving that love. Sometimes it's not about being clingy and being, like needing that love over and over and over. It's about feeling like you can be safe, feeling that you're in a safe spot that you haven't been used to all your life. And so it's inconsistent with how it was before, right? And so even though you're used to that toxic habits of other people, now when you're actually being treated with real love, it's hard to, you're second guessing it. You're feeling like, what, is there a catch? Is there something going to happen? Is there, is it just temporary like it's always been? Like you start to really worry and you need that reassurance. And it's okay because you want to feel safe. And the problem with that is that you get shamed for it. And the problem with that is that you start to feel the shame cycle. It's where you feel like you need the reassurance and then you don't get it, so you feel like a burden. You feel like you're shameful of being in need of love constantly and that you don't deserve it, and you are forever just stuck because you meet someone that's a partner and that is worthy of that love and giving that love, and then once you keep on receiving it, you keep doubting it. And that other person, they're like, oh, you're going to get tired of me. Like you saying that to them is like, oh, you're going to get tired of me. Oh, you're not, you're just going to leave like all the others, and that, that energy on the other partner is exhausting, to be honest, right? Like, to be very honest, it's hard to constantly feel like you need to prove yourself over and over and over, right? And so that person doesn't end up staying because they were tired, or they needed the reassurance, or whatever the case may be, and then they leave again. So you were proven right, technically, right? And so your trust issues become harder and harder. And I just want to know that your feelings are okay, right? And I know you're working on it. You're trying to be better with it, trying to be, more trusting, and trying to be more understanding with how the partner is with, you needing the reassurance, but not, asking for it so much. And there's this dynamic of the mix, right? It's hard to kind of calculate how much reassurance you should have and how much you should ask for it. And should you hide your feelings or not, right? And these feelings are valid. But the truth, I want you to know the truth, is because everyone needs reassurance, right? Even when you're born and you're a kid, it's all started from, oh, do you like this drawing? Do you like this? Am I doing okay? Am I doing this right? Am I holding this correctly? Am I holding the flashlight correctly? There's so many different things that you needed reassurance as a kid. Am I doing good? Are my grades good? Is education good? Is all these things, am I hitting the ball correctly? Like in soccer and football and all these different sports, right? Any sort of environment as a kid, you needed that reassurance. Just some may have needed it more than others because they were dealt a bad hand. They were dealt with bad experience, toxic environments, those horrible environments, and that now normal love and true love feels weird. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like there's a catch. There's some sort of there's going to be something at the end when there's not, right? And it was just unfortunate because that person wants to truly give you love, but it's hard for you to accept it, and you just need more reassurance than others, and that's perfectly okay. Reassurance isn't weakness or any sort of feeling that you need it more than others or whatever, because it's valid. You need it more than others. It's the courage to constantly ask, like, if you care and if you feel like, you're to communicate properly and have that feeling of a mutual feeling of that you are loved and that you are being treated with true manners, true love, and all these different things. Now, what I want you to focus on is building that self-reassurance. Building that foundation on yourself is so important, because now you don't need that validation so much from others. You know, I don't want you to think that you need someone else's love for you to be valid, for you to be yourself, because that's not true. And that's why relationships are so important, to just be, you know, be able to sustain yourself and be able to be there for yourself before going into a relationship. You shouldn't go into a relationship feeling like you need a relationship, if that makes sense. Because then you rely too much on that person. You feel like that's your everything, that's your, but the truth is that you guys should be able to be independent. Because if someone falls, someone becomes 70, that's that 30%, and you need to be 70%, are you going to be able to be that 70% for at least a little bit? You know, you want to be able to sustain yourself, but also help that person that's 30%. You know what I mean? Same way that shifts the cycle. You're going to be 30%, and you would want that person to be 70% for you, right? But eventually it needs to equalize, and it needs to be 50-50. So in order to achieve that true 50-50, you don't rely on the relationship. You need to build yourself that foundation, work on practicing trust and agreeing with trust in others, trusting others and trusting yourself, as well as self-reassurance and that foundation with yourself, having those true talks with yourself, and knowing that it's okay to have these feelings, to process this way and feel this way, but try to agree, try to, find trust, because previously it's been okay. You've been just doubting yourself. You've been doubting yourself and them, and it's self-sabotage because of the toxic environments you've been through. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck, and I know you got this. I know you got this, because I understand how you feel, and I've been in the same boat. But you can always improve. You can always do better. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about in today's video. I just thought it was an interesting concept I feel like it's a modern, really tough topic, because especially social media and different, experiences that you may have had and caused you to have these bad habits and bad trust issues, that you are allowed to have these feelings and you can work on it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Much love as always. I appreciate every like, comment, and subscribe. All those things, the good feedback, the bad feedback. It's not bad feedback, it's criticism. That's nothing wrong with criticism. I respond to all the comments. I love them. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Much love, and take care.